Hi, welcome back to My Planet B. In today's video, we're going to talk about the framing of these walls. We use this book as a reference for our build. There are also a series of videos on YouTube that accompany this book, which I highly recommend. I'll leave a link in the description. As you can see, a lot has been done already to these walls. We've used treated 2x4 CLS or dressed timber for framing the walls. We started out by screwing the walls to the floor structure with 150mm X-Ed timber screws, roughly every 200mm. Starting with the through walls that hold the weight of the roof, the size of the door frame dictated how tall this wall will end up. We left 50mm or 2 inches either side as wiggle room. It's easier to add timber to the frame than to cut it once the wall was done. We have several king studs running all the way from the double top plate to the bottom plate at roughly 400mm apart or 16 inch on center. As you can see in this picture. On the door frame, we have 2 king studs either side, right next to the trimmers, which run from the header to the bottom plate. The header is laminated 2x6 on edge, which is enough to cover the 2-meter span of the door. On the corner of the wall, we have 2 king studs forming an L shape. This is because this way we end up with a flat surface on either side of the corner where the interior walls will have a place to attach onto. We used a flat header in this window and top cripples from the header to the top plate. Above the double top plate, we have the freeze blocks in between the rafters. On either side of the window and right next to the king stud, we have a continuous trimmer that runs from the flat header to the bottom plate. Then we have the rough sill on top of the bottom cripples that run all the way to the bottom plate with the usual 400mm spacing. On the opposite wall, the south-facing wall, we have 3 windows evenly spaced out. So we have king studs in between all windows, followed by continuous trimmers, followed by the bottom trimmer or cripple. All headers are laminated 2x4s on edge, which is enough to cover the 1.2 meters or 4-foot span. These windows don't have top cripples because the header is butted up against both top plates. For the butt walls, as they have a 5-degree-ish slope, what we did was we decided how high we wanted the windows to be and then run a header that runs all the way from one side to the other. A laminated 2x4 header with several continuous trimmers instead of king studs, because these don't run from the top plate to the bottom plate, but from the header to the bottom plate. More than enough to cover the span of the windows. Above the header, we just have the top cripples to the top plates, which then the end rafter sits on. The exact same thing for the opposite wall. Trimmers instead of king studs all the way along. But instead of 2 windows, we'll just have 1. The 4 corners of the true walls have a double stud corner forming an L shape, with the exception of the corner with the window, which has the window trimmer and therefore forming a channel. This is how the L shape looks like. This is so there is enough exposed timber on both sides of the wall for the sheeting material to attach onto. We pack the corner with insulation offcuts and fill the rest with expanding foam. After that, insulation as usual. As our insulation cutting technique hadn't improved too much, we still need to fill in some gaps with expanding foam. Here's small clips of us cutting and installing the insulation and then covering it with OSB. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Keep in mind that this is not a how-to video, this is how we've done it. Hit the like button if this was of any use to you, and consider subscribing to follow our journey. Until next time, thanks for watching.